So I represent a lot of hardworking, working class people in my district, folks who work day and night to make ends meet. When I learned about the long hours, often uncompensated, that flight attendants endure, I was really surprised. People think it's kind of a glamorous job still. Even more so to find out that the meager changes made to flight attendants' adequate rest has been delayed. Can you, Ms. Nelson, provide with any additional comments about the strains that this puts on individuals, your families, staff morale, and performance, and separately, what impacts this may have on safety of the flying public?
Thank you very much for the question. Flight attendants are aviation's first responders, and they must be prepared to respond immediately. They switch back and forth between being safety professionals and serving with incredible emotional intelligence to be able to handle all of the people on board. Oftentimes, we have to de-escalate conflict, and when we don't get enough rest, it is much harder to do that. It is much harder to respond to any safety issue. I have another report from a flight attendant who said that she was so fatigued from a short night that she forgot to do the safety demo on the plane. So oftentimes, the flight attendants who are experiencing these short nights and long days are typically the more junior flight attendants. You brought up the issue of pay. These are people who are having to work long hours, not make enough money, and one of the issues of fatigue is also not getting enough nutrition. Oftentimes, they don't have enough money to eat. These are the same people who are not getting enough rest to avoid fatigue and perform the very serious safety and security functions that they must perform. I mentioned earlier responding to a medical emergency. We are also trained that a medical emergency could be a diversion for a much more serious security attack. And we have to remain vigilant to all of these issues on board, in addition to managing all the different personalities on board that sometimes don't always get along. So this is a very serious stress. It happens every single day, and we continue to receive reports from flight attendants who are under great strain in their own personal health and in their ability to perform their safety duties and respond in an evacuation, and also in their home lives, because when they go home, they're beat, and they often then have to take care of children or other responsibilities.
Can you comment, Ms. Nelson, on the seat sizes and space between rows? The case that has been mentioned here at American Airlines Flight 383 at Chicago O'Hare is, I think, an occasion that raises much concern about this. Can you elaborate on efforts to put more passengers on planes and how this may jeopardize safety?
Yes, we are very much in support of the evacuation certification standards study, and in fact, we think we need to move forward with addressing the very real conditions in the cabin today. We suspect that the 90-second rule cannot be met with the current conditions on board if you were to conduct an actual evacuation certification. And in real time with real people who weren't told ahead of time or volunteered and come to the test with tennis shoes on and a good breakfast in their belly and being prepared to respond because they know that's why they're there. So we are very concerned about the shrinking seats, more and more people being packed on our planes closer and closer together, and no realistic assessment of today's passenger size or the conditions in the cabin that include having personal electronic devices plugged in everywhere, people stuffing in their overhead baggage everywhere. These evacuation certification tests have never taken into consideration the bags that people are taking with them today. And so there is not a realistic assessment, and we believe that that is going to lead to a loss of life if we don't take action right now to correct it.
Thank you. I yield my time, Chairman.